Welcome, everybody. My name is April, and my spirits and I together, we are called Ostre Astoundans. I'm coming on here today. It's July 13th because there was a assassination attempt on Donald Trump on DT. I wanted to talk a little bit about it. I kind of did this on the spot because I didn't plan to record, but obviously it's warranted for a good psychic read, just kind of see what my spirits have to say. It's one thing when I get into a little bit of the astrology and what's going on, but a lot of what I wanted to say I couldn't really say on a social media platform because I'll be shadow banned. AI catches a lot of stuff, and it's just very frustrating. So I will just start off by saying this. The Mars-Uranus conjunction is heating things up quite a bit. So it's a very volatile time, especially leading towards July 15th. So it's really intense right now. And so it doesn't surprise me, but it also doesn't surprise me that this happened because I was talking about this last year. How I was looking at DT's natal chart, Donald Trump, and I was just kind of looking around at some things, and he's got a lot of ancestral protection. And I feel like what happened today was definitely very much ancestral in terms of divine protection. Of course, God, because if he would have turned just a little bit to a certain angle, I mean, it would have been really bad for him. And clipped his ear. So, and just very, very shocking. And because right now we are in Cancer season, Cancer is all encompassed with our deceased ancestors. It doesn't surprise me too that bullet missed him. And I felt that because of certain placements in his natal chart, that's the reason why there was not a fatal shot. I also got the impression as I was looking at the recording too, is, there was these Secret Service agents that all pounced on him once those shots were fired. And I noticed when Donald Trump got up, I immediately turned to my co-host because we were planning on recording today anyway, but I didn't think we were going to be talking about this. So we just decided, obviously, we're going to talk about this for what happened. But I was watching him get up very slowly, and I turned to my co-host and I said, "Oh my God, he's looking at all the Secret Service agents, and he's looking at them like, are they on my side?" And my co-host looked at me like, "That's a little crazy that you said that," but he was like, "Wait a minute, maybe she's on to something." And my spirits were in my ear telling me that this was an inside job, that they didn't button up all the security and they left some loopholes there, a little bit purposeful, okay, to some degree, where it looks like they're like trying, but also a couple little things were opened up to allow that to happen. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but it's true, okay? And, for those that are listening, do with the messages what you will, okay? I do, and I will be talking a little bit about some political things, and some people get easily triggered, and I have no control over that, okay? So if you're listening and you tend to lean towards the blue side or the red side, Spirit's not interested in those types of looking through the lens of that, because that has a lot to do with, human beings here on earth, the ego. They just look through the lens of truth. So what I'm going to say today, this is just a disclaimer, do with the messages what you will. And if you're triggered, again, I have no control over that. But Spirit looks through the lens of truth, not through the red or through the blue. So if I'm saying something about a political leader, I'm not saying it because I have my own feelings about things that I keep to myself. My most important concern here is what Spirit has to say. And that's why I lean into it. That's why I trust it, because Spirit loves you enough to tell you the truth on things. Okay. Also, Spirit was telling me that this is an inside job. Yes. So that means there is a opposing influence And that is the reason why they did not button up the security today. So I feel that, what happened in the debate, for those that are watching, of course, my co-host and I were talking about the debate, and it's quite obvious it didn't go well for the president. You could kind of see that there was some problems there, and it's easy to just kind of watch it and notice that there's something a little slower than needs to be. Maybe there's something going on with his health, which my spirits were talking about quite a bit, even when he was elected, that it's possible that he could be replaced. Okay. And that's all together leading towards the elections, because we have some interesting transits. I'll just bring this up as well. We have Jupiter in Gemini, which means that we could see somebody getting switched out. Gemini comes in a set of 2s, so we might be seeing like things being moving around. Like someone steps away, someone gets replaced, things like that. But in the debate, I feel that was a big moment, because Spirit kind of shines the light on that moment, right? They said, focus on the debate and look at how bad it looked, and look at how it's being viewed from people, not just in the United States, but all over the world, right? And so I leaned into that. And it's causing people to sway with how they feel about certain things when it comes to President Biden. I know that he's a Scorpio. Donald Trump is a Gemini. So it's kind of not looking good. And this is going to kind of make a dent and maybe a little bit in here with the elections. So now Donald Trump, Mr. DT, he's a threat. He's a threat because he's shining a little too bright. And if you look at the things going on in his chart with his MC, and, kind of like these transits are having a little party there. And so it's very volatile for him. And when I was reading upon this last year and looking at his natal chart, I did get the sense that his ancestors were almost letting him know, and I know he knows it's very dangerous, but almost like it's a risk that if he steps into this position, that it could end him. And we witnessed that, unfortunately, today, that it was very close. And I will speak to you about the beauty and power of the sign of Cancer being in Cancer season. Is think about all the times in your life where you said to yourself, shit, that was close. Think about that. That is the power of the sign of Cancer. And right now we are in the midst of Cancer season with all these transits. But Cancer, anytime you're looking at a natal chart, it speaks of the graveyard, speaks of your deceased ancestors. Your deceased ancestors are talking in those placements. And not only are they talking, they're strengthening the ancestral field that's naturally around you in the atmosphere. So when there's any danger in the atmosphere, they go in much stronger. And there are certain placements in Mr. Donald Trump's natal chart that speak of the sign of Cancer. So it doesn't shock me that he missed it, but it doesn't shock me that they did it. Okay. And he's very lucky. But I do and will say and will confirm that Spirit did say this is an inside job. Okay. And this is coming from an opposing party. That's all I'll say. I do feel and sense as I lean into it a little bit more, and I was kind of looking around, I'm like, well, where is this coming from? Like, who's talking about? Like, how did this happen? I did get a vision.
Question. Will
Sure.
there be other attempts?
Yes.
And I know you spoke about vehicles or like helicopters, airplanes in earlier readings. What do you think about that?
Yes, I did actually. And a lot of people that have followed me on the ground were messaging me today about that. I was concerned. I was talking about his plane. And not only am I talking, I was getting the sense of the plane, but I'm worried about his family. Because if you look at what happened with JFK, right?
Yes.
Look what, JFK got assassinated, then so did his brother. And And look what happened to his son on the plane. So if they can't get you one way, they're going to try to find another back end way to get you. And unfortunately, yeah, I was always concerned about this, and I've been talking about this since last year. So you are correct. Yeah, I feel like that might be another trying attempt. But here's the thing: now that this has happened, right? Yeah. Now the surveillance is up. Now he's really going to be thinking, like DT is going to be thinking, all right, do I need to have like you were talking about this too, like maybe he can do a virtual rally, right? Where, he's not
out
in the open. But my co-host was talking about how he's so strong,
he's strong-willed.
He's strong-willed that he might stubbornly just decline that. Say, no, I'm going to show up. We'll just amp up security. But
also another question is, what do your cards say about him, like maybe being watched right now or surveyed?
Yes. Yeah. So I was looking at that too, you guys. So for those that are listening, I feel like his house is being surveillanced. I think they got a lot of surveillance there. Now, whether this isn't an enemy type of surveillance, that's a given.
Yeah.
But because I got Seven of Swords stuff going on here, and I was just taking a look, I'm like, whoa, not only is his house being watched, but also, his own people, like his security team, they're also watching the house as well. So now we got, enemies watching, things are amping up.
Everything's ramping.
They're trying to figure out what he's going to do next. Yeah. Because if you think about Gemini energy, I mean, DT is a Gemini. It's like they're very clever. They'll kind of like switch things up. But because they're clever, that's why they kind of make a come up a lot. That's why they can survive. But I'm looking at DT too going forward in the future. He's not about to back down. He's really going to give this his best shot. And I have been, I know that I've been praying for our country. I'm praying for what's best. I've been praying for, we're all human beings. So whoever you voted for, we have to, it's wrong. You can't be doing that, I don't care who it is. It's just, you got to think of what's right. And so the fact that this happened, it's really sad. It's definitely very eye-opening with the Saturn retrograde in Pisces, which means the rose-colored glasses are off. Like, you can't lie to yourself anymore about what's really going on here, because it's like, the ugly truth is right in front of our face. Like, there's the fantasy and the reality, and the reality's right here in front of our faces. And it's like, it's not looking the best. But at the same time, because this happened, it's like there's a surge of optimism in the air too at the same time. Don't you feel that?
Yeah, everybody seems like they're more up about this than down. It's probably brought out more people than it has before.
Ever.
Yes.
It might even unite us a little bit more too, to some degree, where people are actually like, wait a second. And I know we were talking about this too. It's like we were cracking up. I was listening to my co-host saying, not only is he a felon.
Yeah, he's a felon now. He's been attacked.
Right.
Yeah.
And shot out. Yeah. Like, it's like gangster right now. Like, everyone's like, what is happening? And even the people that may not have been, very interested in him as a person, or been like, whatever, it's almost like it struck up a little curiosity in them. Like, damn, he's still standing. Like, what is happening? Right. So I'm just, and then he got up and he was like, fight, and you could see his ear was bleeding. They clipped his ear, but had it been like an inch off, it went right to the skull.
Yeah, it'd have been bad.
I will say this. I know that the person that was firing the shots, I think he was a younger guy, right? He was
in his 20s. In his 20s.
He was Caucasian?
Yes.
Okay. I did see money exchanged.
Yeah.
I told you I saw that. Well, I said I saw money going hand to hand, like something like this. And I think he was told that he would have gotten immunity. That they would have, am I saying that right? Is that what they say? Okay. So
they didn't make it go away.
Spirit said they gave him immunity. I go, immunity? Isn't that what they give you when they try to cover your tail if you've done something?
Yeah.
Or they try to get you out, or they replace you or clone you, or whatever the hell they do these days. I don't know. But I think he was told that there would have been a different outcome.
Well, it's always known when somebody tries to assassinate someone and they get paid off, they usually get whacked too. It's not uncommon where the person, unless the person is completely loony and there's nothing involved.
Yeah.
Like the guy that has tried to assassinate Reagan, he went to jail.
Yeah.
But he was absolutely crazy. But people before, usually like, the guy that supposedly killed JFK, he was killed.
Yeah.
Immediately.
And I think at that one, the guy was climbing up on a 10 roof? Was it a 10 roof?
It was a roof. I don't know what kind of roof it was, but.
And there were some people in the crowd that were kind of like pointing and spotting him out. And then there was like I think a cop managed to get up there. And
yeah, from what I've heard, early reports are a cop climbed up there and saw him, and he pointed the gun at him.
I was getting like headaches and feeling very out of it, and I was getting neck aches, and I feel like there is an energy of that man's soul that was trying to kind of cloak the reading a little bit, and it didn't feel very good. And he refused to speak to me because when I was leaning into it, my spirits kind of blocked him, but then he didn't want to say any dialogue. Like he just blocked me. So it was sort of like, okay, he has nothing to say for himself, but he's very quite aware of what he's done. So, but then right as I leaned into that look on his face where it was like a block, like I don't want to talk about this, that spirit, right? The man that's responsible for those shots. I immediately saw him look at me, and then he showed me the money. So I was like, oh, but I could feel headaches and neck pain, and I was like, God damn, that hurts. And for those that are listening, like I channel all the time in readings. I can feel and pick up pain from people that have had impact, from gunshots to wounds to hangings to even souls that have passed that died with a trach in their throat. It's like really awful. I start coughing. For those of you who had readings with me before, I feel everything, and it takes me almost like my co-host kind of knows, like it almost takes me a couple hours to come off of it.
I've seen it with last days.
Where I'm just drained, and he tries to talk to me, and I can't give him much more. I have to take some time to kind of reset, and it takes a lot of energy. So, right now I'm worried between now and the month of September. Between now and the month of September, Spirit keeps bringing up the sliding scale of this duration of time. Okay, for Mr. Donald Trump and his safety. So I also am feeling a huge surge of panic and a little bit of some chaos around the United States dollar bill. We are heading into the year of the snake, which is all about transformation. That's for 2025. It's all about a reset, the undoing of what no longer is working. So we are looking into quite an interesting year for 2025. And we are going to need someone very strong to handle this. And the way it's looking right now, there's a lot of questions over like, what's going to happen with this election? What's going to happen? Now, when I first read on it, Spirit was not ready to close. They said, hey, we're not going to close on this. There might not even be an election at all.
Everything is shifting too much.
Yeah, because there's way too many. See, when Spirit doesn't close in a reading, it means that Spirit is saying to us, and for those that are listening that have gotten readings with me, you know what I'm talking about. I'll say Spirit won't close. It means that there's other events, other choices, other experiences that still need to fall into play for us to receive the outcome, whatever that means. And so I stayed the hell out of Spirit's way, and they said, not yet, but there may not be even an election. Now, if they get so desperate, they might just throw a war in there and say, oh, shit, we're being attacked by Russia, or or China's coming after us, like, oh God, we can't have this election because when you're desperate, you're dangerous.
Is there any astrology around this part of it?
Yeah, there's a lot of chaos, astrological wise, like around the time for voting, and it looks very. I've talked about this openly before. It looks really tough, and we talked about it a little bit in the predictions for 2024. But here's the thing. Even though it looks like that, it gets worse before it can even get better. And that's what I've been talking about for those, that are listening, and to my clients and friends. It has to get worse before it gets better, you guys, because that's what transformation's all about. That's why we're leading into the year of the snake for transformation. It has to happen. So, but the way this looks, if they get away with it, with these attempts on Trump, but I have a feeling they may not be able to. And that's, of course, I never would want that for anybody, so I will continue praying for our country and praying for the best possible outcome for all that's involved, including for the American people, as I always do. And focus on love and healing for this country, because clearly it's not looking the best, but I am forever optimistic, because Spirit is saying it has to happen this way. It has to happen this way for us to change some things. We have to see the ugly stuff for us to make the necessary adjustments for us to grow and evolve as a country. Now, I thought this was interesting. What I wanted to say was, I was shuffling my cards right before I started recording here. And I want to bring up two particular individuals that really bother me the most. This is all surrounding the elections. It's all surrounding Mr. DT's assassination, or aim for assassination, that happened today. There is someone who falls under a water sign: Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. But as I pull more cards, I keep getting the Death card. Now, before you jump off the deep end because I said Death card, that's actually the sign of Scorpio. Pay attention to Scorpios, secrets. This is all surrounding Mr. DT and what happened today, okay? Just giving you a heads up. Do your research, think what you will, but it's there right in front of my face. And then I also want to bring up a backing point to this particular water sign, okay? There is a fire sign who backs it. This is like a Sag, a Leo, or a Aries. And this particular individual is supporting it. Might even be a Leo. I got the Sun card here. And as I look a little further, I was looking at the Tower card. I was looking at certain other cards that were talking about the current position for the person in power at the moment of the United States. And I'm worried that they're going to make decisions, which the feeling I'm getting, and we were talking about this earlier too, the feeling I'm getting is it's happening now. They're trying to figure out what to do. That I think they're looking, it almost feels like they would amplify how he's looking like he's falling apart. Like, how they kind of fan it up. They give it the theatrics. Like, let's make him look real bad. So now we have an excuse to pluck him.
Well, I feel like if they pull him right now, it's past the primaries. So the country's already voted on who they want to run for president.
Yeah.
And they didn't really have primaries. So if the DNC wants, they're going to get what they want. So whoever's in power right now, if he gets removed, they just replace him with whoever they want. There's no real democracy in it. There's no vote. They're just going to toss somebody in there. The same thing if something happened to Trump, the Republican National Convention, we could just replace him with anybody that we even don't want.
Because there's no plucked, there's no VP, right?
Exactly.
He hasn't picked,
nobody votes on it. They're just going to throw him right in.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's no democracy in this, too. It's just basically they take the people's say out of it by this happening. So if something happens to, say, Biden or Trump, they're going to get, obviously, they're removed from the equation. But whoever they want, RNC or DNC, there's no will to the people of it. It's the will to, to their, the national convention for whoever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's concerning. And it kind of makes sense with, I mean, astrology doesn't lie either, because I've talked a lot about the twinning,
Yes.
which is Jupiter and Gemini. That's going to be hanging around for about a year or so. Well, less than a year now, but and that means that we're going to see like people being switched out, like something last second, something clever. And the way this energy looks around this is a fresh live reading for those who are listening. This is Biden right here. They're already talking about like changing or like figuring out what to do with him. He's got the Tower card here. He's got some pretty heavy cards, like as if it's already happening now. It's been in the works now. They're trying to figure out what to do, how to replace him. And there's people like higher up making phone calls and trying to figure out how can we make this like look not as bad as it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who do you think that if let's just say hypothetically they replace Biden?
Yeah.
Who do you think they're gonna do? What do you think? I'm just curious because see, you guys, when I like to ask questions because I'm not somebody that gets all hurt if I talk about politics with people. I actually listen. So let's just say you voted for Biden. Let's just say you voted for Trump. Let's just say it doesn't matter to me because I have clients from all walks of life all over the world and I have a lot of American clients. And I just listen. I'm like, hey, what are your thoughts on this? Because I think that's how it should be. I think we should all be able to just talk freely without walking on eggshells all the time and feeling like we can't talk about it. And that's why I want you guys to know this is a safe space with me. I have people that have called me that can't stand Trump. I have people that call me and can't stand Biden. And it's like, okay, well, I'm hearing you. I'm listening to you. I'm listening to all sides. And I always ask everybody, who do you think that they would replace Biden with?
Who are the options? I would think, well, off the top of my head, I would think Gavin Newsom would be at top.
California governor, yeah.
Yeah, and then maybe a congressman from New York, Hakeem Jeffries. I've heard rumblings of him being spoken about. And then also Kamala, but I don't think she has the capacity for it.
Yeah.
She struggles in speech and she struggles like at events.
Yeah.
Where a debate might not bode well for her versus somebody like Trump or so somebody like Newsom that would probably be willing to pick more, Jeffries maybe, or maybe I've heard talks of Michelle Obama.
I see. Yeah. I've heard of that too, and I actually had talked about that on a podcast. I think it was back in 2020 or 2021. The Spiritual Spiral Show, actually, with Sam Davidson. I think it's actually still on her page, actually. But I did talk about how we may even see a woman in power. I mean, if it comes down to that it could. Yeah. And so I think that that's all very possible. I was kind of, as I was, mavericking my way through the reading too, I will lean into this. I was trying to ask Spirit, who do you think is going to win? And so I think it's very possible that at one point I was thinking RFK might have a good chance. And before I get into this, I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on RFK?
Depends on the standpoint, but RFK, he could pull forward, but the Democratic National Convention doesn't want him a part of it, so he has to run independent.
Yeah.
And it would take a lot of people to kind of step out and promote him, and it hasn't came forth for him.
Now, he did go independent, but then he asked for them to...
He asked if Biden was willing to step down, he would gladly take his place, and there was no acknowledgement from that on the Democratic side.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I just know that you... Yeah. I think you lightly mentioned it to me not too long ago. Okay. What I'm feeling is going to happen, okay... I know that there has been, I've been told this, that there's been many psychics that have mentioned that Trump may be assassinated. Um, I have a different perspective, okay? I have a perspective that the possibility of that might be erased due to what's in his natal chart. And I am not so sure about that. And I say this because he's got some cancer stuff going on here. Actually, let's pull up his chart right now and I'll talk to you guys about it. For those of you that know astrology, let's take a look at this fella here. I just pull it up on the computer for a moment. I know he's a Gemini. I had it out already, and then I just decided to... Yeah, because I know it's Gemini. Here we go.
June 14th.
Yeah.
46.
He's got a moon in Sag. Yeah, see, check this out. Mercury in Cancer, Venus in Cancer. This is why I was like, wait a second. Hold it. Saturn in Cancer. Get the fuck out of here. And we're in Cancer season, and they tried to assassinate him in Cancer season, and they failed. And I will tell you with all the love in my heart, the reason why this man is still alive is because of his deceased ancestors that kept him alive. Whether you love him, whether you hate him, he's still a human being. And it's astonishing how powerful that... Because see, if you have Cancer placements, I've been trying to teach my clients about this a lot. They have a more intense ancestral field. We have a natural ancestral field that orbits around our auric field, okay? That's why it's so easy for me to read on you guys. So you guys give me a call and I can pick up on your ancestors like that, okay? But Cancer placements are much more intense, which means that their power and position is more amplified, and they're very possessive, and they're very picky who's in their field. And they'll just start moving shit around the atmosphere on purpose because they're pissed off or they don't like somebody, because it's personal. If you try to fuck with someone with Cancer placements, it's personal at that point. They'll start fucking with you in your sleep. They'll show up at your house. They came to play. And they're not going to allow you to fuck with them. So it makes sense with these Cancer placements that, that there's a very strong possibility here that they were the ones that stopped it and blocked the bullet. But this is not going to be the first attempt. I feel like there's going to be a second possibility. What worries me is them messing with the planes. Depending upon what he does when he amps up on security and stuff like that. But I feel like with the United States election, I'm deeply, deeply suspicious. We talked about this, I think, last week as we get closer to the election. Spirit says when we get closer to the elections, let's talk about this. I think it's very possible that he could win. At one point, I was deeply suspicious that RFK may have a good chance because I felt that I had seen a Kennedy in office. Mm-hmm. Or like a repeat, like the karma's coming back around full circle.
Did something shift?
Something definitely shifted because of this attempt.
Yes.
Something just kicked in.
Like catapulted him forward.
Right. So here's the thing. This is what happens. This is the irony of how the ancestors work. You try to take a shot, and then it's on national TV, right? It's a big shit show. But it gave him some points. Mm-hmm. It shifted that energy a little bit. So it might work for him, not against him, which means people go, shit. So they just tried to now he's a felon. Like you were saying, now he's a felon. Now he's being shot at. Like, damn. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he's still standing and he's not going to give up. Like, it's attractive to some people, even maybe people, I've had people call me, I have clients that say, hey, I voted for Biden, and, financially, ever since this person has been in office, everything has gone to shit financially, and so they've expressed their concerns, and they don't like Trump, but they're looking at it from another point of view, and they're saying, but, anything has got to be better than this, April. Like, this is ridiculous. So... You know what I mean? And this is what we're up against. These are our options. So it's like, I don't know what to say, but I do know that it's very possible that he could win by a landslide. Yes. And I think right now in the works, I think Biden is they're preparing him for a switch out. And I do feel like he's a lot worse than they're letting on. I think what they did is they allowed him to get a little bit sloppy on national TV on purpose.
Just to remove
I
him.
mean, for all I know, they removed his meds or something. Because I've heard that he's in full blown dementia. Someone mentioned that to me as well.
I've heard reports of Parkinson's.
Okay.
It's like
Yeah.
the early stages of Parkinson's.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah, he's
It's a
pretty
shame.
he's pretty up there in age,
Well, yeah, he's not. No, neither one's a spring chicken.
Yeah,
Like,
sprung chicken. Ooh, but this is what we're up against. Yeah. I mean, but I know that there's some people that really like RFK. I've had some people mention to me that they liked him. They like what he had to say. I know there's a lot of some good pointers that they've expressed to me. Some clients are like, you know what? I'm not a fan of Trump. I'm not a fan of Biden, but I do like RFK. I like what he has to say. And they're actually very curious to see what he wants, what he could bring to the table. Because we've already had Biden, they said. We've already had Trump, April. Yeah. Let's see what this guy's got, right?
Well, everybody believes what RFK does is he detracts from the Democrat Party. So he pulls that are the potential people that are going to vote for the Democrats. He pulls from them. That's why nobody wants to vote for RFK. Everybody's stuck in this party system of left and right. Mm-hmm. And if you don't fight for one side or the other, you're not a part of it. And all you are is just pulling away from it.
Yeah. Just a distraction. Yeah.
Not a distraction necessarily. More like your vote is taking away from their side. So if somebody votes for RFK, they're pulling votes away from, say, Biden. But also you could be a more centrist Republican and you could vote for RFK and you're pulling votes away from Trump.
Yeah.
So nobody wants people to vote for him just because of that.
Interesting. I mean, because at some point I was almost convinced. I was like, maybe he could give it a shot, But I think that my biggest concern is Trump's home. I don't know where he lives, but
he's in Mar-a-Lago in Florida.
And I think that my other biggest concern is travel for him and the planes. That's got me kind of concerned. It had me concerned last year where I'm worried about that. So I sure hope that he's got extra security on the checks for before the plane takes off, especially for his family too.
Well, honestly, I would probably hire a new security team. Yeah. By the way that looked. I mean, when Reagan was shot, it took him 2 seconds to get into a car. Granted, he was right next to a car.
Yeah.
But that took too long for them to even respond to him being shot. There were 5 shots fired, and security barely got to him by the 5th shot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that seems silly to me.
It's suspicious.
Yeah, you could say it's suspicious. You could say it's neglect. Maybe they didn't have the best people on staff at that time for what they were doing. The response time, I don't think, was the best. Mm-hmm. They did respond, but it was very slow. And they took him a long time to get him to the car, where he should have been up and out of there so fast.
Yeah.
Like, there was... I mean, you could see pictures and video of the sniper team responding to the guy firing. I think there should have been a call a little bit quicker to, hey, move him, get him going now.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They took their time.
Like I said, Spirit saying they loosened up the buttons,
But they got some good photo ops out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, him shaking his fist in front of the podium saying fight.
Yeah.
Did look like a very, I don't know what you'd want to call that, but a very specific moment in time. Mm-hmm.
Well, it made history.
Yeah.
That made history. I mean, to think that if he moved just 1 inch, it would have clipped him.
Yeah. If he tilted his head to the left just at that time, and just that time it went. And there's actual images online of the bullet going through air. I think I don't know which magazine, but there was a magazine that actually picked up that image. It was pretty pretty wild to see.
Mm-hmm.
It was shocking,
Yeah.
to be honest. And I really feel bad for the people behind him, that the people that were hit, and the one man who lost his life. That's terrible.
I saw someone on the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the person that actually got shot and died.
Yes, they passed away.
Yeah. And there was two men in the recording that were kind of crouching and looking.
Yeah.
Were they just there and they were cops?
I was wondering if they were plainclothes police officers behind him, or as part of a security team, because they were really looking. That's the first thing I picked up on when I saw it. I wasn't paying too much to everybody piled onto Trump. I was more watching what was going on behind him. And there was two guys staked out, really looking hard, and they were just sitting low, and everybody was laying on the floor, but those two guys. And it was a really interesting moment. So it shows more into the security, but
yeah,
I still think there was a lack in it.
Yeah, of course, it was purposeful. Spirit said, a minute he got up, like I looked at you and I was like, stop.
Yeah.
And he'd look, and you could
He
tell
was wondering who he could trust.
He's wondering. I said, oh my God, my spirit's like, he's wondering, who can I trust? Yeah. Are these people for me or against me? Yeah. And he's looking at these people and he's thinking to himself, are they doing their jobs? Are they on my side? That's what his energy was emanating, because you can sense that. And Spirit is saying this is an inside job, and that they didn't button up the security on purpose because someone telephoned in to some people that were already there, or gave them like a little push to kind of don't get too tight with the security. Now, I'm not blaming anybody there, but I just know, but Spirit is saying it's deceptive, completely deceptive. And we'll see how he decides to do his rallies from this point going forward. He might do it virtual. We were talking about that earlier. I don't know, but it just seems like my biggest concern is his traveling. I also sense that his home is being surveillanced, because I was reading on it and there's deception around the home, because they're trying to figure out what he's going to do next. Yeah.
Well, you wondered actually in earlier readings, you stated around RFK, you were worried about his life also. And there were attempts on his life. There was 2 attempts. People were on his property.
Oh, that's right. One of my clients had said that.
And
I forgot about that.
They denied Secret Service for him.
For RFK.
And he's a candidate.
Yeah.
But they denied Secret Service for him.
Yeah.
So I'm really wondering. I'm taking a step back. I'm really wondering. Wouldn't you rather just have your own team anyways?
Yeah. It's such a damn shame. I mean, it's like, I will say this. I had a client that messaged me and was saying, April, in your previous recordings on the podcast, you were mentioning a possible assassination attempt. And I did talk about RFK, but I think RFK is a Capricorn with a Cancer moon. He too has a lot of ancestral protection, and they didn't succeed.
Yeah.
They tried and they didn't succeed. You see what I'm saying? I just want to incorporate a little bit of power of the astrology, because it's very real. I have a Cancer moon, and there have been a lot of people, throughout my life that have really tried to make sure that I wouldn't win. I've had people do some pretty cruel things to me, and I look back on it now and I'm like, damn. Shit, that was close. Like that old saying, shit, that was close. That's that Cancerian power. It's like, if you got Cancer moon rising, look at all the Cancer placements in your chart. Check it out, because I'm telling you, Cancer, the sign itself is extremely powerful in all its glory. So, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I know that RFK, I felt like I wanted to say something about him, but I'll think about it some more. I did read that his, I think he Twittered something, or he posted something on the gram for his family. It was very nice, for Mr. Trump. Yeah.
I didn't see it.
It was very kind. I saw it show up in the feed, and I thought what he said was very kind. If anyone gets it, it's him.
Of course.
If anyone gets it, it's RFK, because he lost his uncle, lost his dad. Yeah. Really scary, really sad. And you could tell the message that he put out there was so heartfelt. I was like, wow. And see, that's the love that we need to see more,
Yeah.
instead of like, F you because you voted for this, or to hell with you and all this. That's what they want. They want that division. They want us to be hating on each other, and it's working. And we can't we got to learn that we have to, like, right now we're having an
Yeah.
open conversation. Nobody's mad, nobody's upset. We have thoughts on and opinions on things.
It's
But
much easier to divide and conquer.
yeah.
It's much easier to have control of the
Yeah.
people if we're all angry at each other,
Yeah.
instead of coming together and having talks and seeing how we can better each other.
Right. And one of the things that I'll say before I close is this. Spirit a while back had mentioned that there would be 16 states that would like to dismantle themselves from the GOV. And I think that this is going to be the start of it. Something's going to change. I am concerned about an economic crash, as I talked about in my predictions. A big reset for 2025 due to the year of the snake. Okay. For those that follow Chinese astrology, it's really, really coming through strong. But I feel like, depending upon how this goes, there might be states that will completely vote a lot of these laws out that they do not like, and that they feel is not in alignment with human rights, or it's not in alignment with their values and belief systems, and they'll slowly vote this out. And I see a lot of the traveling changing a little bit. I saw some interesting things there, and I did see that we are going to be up against a lot of interesting things coming up in terms of our water, our fresh water, and our food. We need to pay attention to our resources. Okay. This is going to get interesting coming forward too as well. And a lot of intense energy. Right now we're in Cancer season, around our waterways and our channels, war over the water. We have to pay attention to what's going on in the sea. Okay, storms, tornadoes, it's already happening. That's already been discussed. So just kind of recapping on some of the stuff that I've discussed before. But anyhow, folks, that's what I got on Mr. Donald Trump assassination attempt. Thank you guys for supporting me and tuning in and listening. I really appreciate seeing what Spirit has to say. Do with the messages what you will. If you're interested in booking a reading with me, you can come check me out at Austrae Astoundance. I'm on IG all the time. Or you can check me out on my website at austraeastoundance.net. Thank you so much.